3 years ago, we thought we had cracked the RV buying code by buying this THOR TELLARO 20A Class B RV.
But here's what no one tells you. Being brand new doesn't always mean being built right.
And this wasn't our first mistake. Before we bought this, we bought a 4 Rise 18T with no bathroom.
From picking the wrong layout to not having enough storage, we have made some brutal mistakes.
So today, we're breaking down everything we wish we knew before buying so that you don't waste thousands of dollars or end up fixing a brand new van with duct tape like we did. We hope to help you not make our mistakes in today's video.
One of the biggest mistakes that we made was not fully testing out the layout. Now, I spent a lot of time looking online, going to the manufacturer's websites, reviewing all the layouts, but I didn't really get inside a lot of them and, test them out and see how I actually fit in it. I just was simply looking at a drawing online. Our first van was great, but it had an almost convertible couch that was almost a full size. Had storage on the side, was really awkward. We thought when we got this van, it has basically a queen size bed, that this was going to be a huge upgrade. What we have learned is, we have learned a lot through having all of these different beds. We like a fixed bed. So every layout has something unique, something special, whether that's a fixed bed, a convertible bed, whether it's a full size split twins, whatever it might be, you need to find what works for you. And the best way to do that is get inside of them, lay in the beds, look at them, test things out, actually getting inside your bed and going, oh, I fit really nicely in this. I like the way this feels. Oh, I can get up here and get access to my storage really easy. And just remember, you're always giving up something to gain something. So if you have a big fixed bed, that's a huge amount of space that you're committing to just being a bed. If you want a convertible bed, then you have to make it all the time. If it's a lift bed, then now do you have height restrictions? So there's just so many give and take with every decision that you have in your van. In continuing with the layout, your galley is really important. There's, again, a ton of different options. You can have the refrigerator here on the end. You can have a cabinet with a refrigerator. Ours is actually not positioned very well because I have to step in the bathroom in order to get to the bottom of it. So does the size of the sink work for you? The best recommendation that I have is before you buy, test these things out. Actually try to, use them. There's lots of different options. You can go to the dealership, you can go to shows, you can rent them. There's just so many different ways that you can test them out, and I definitely recommend doing that.
Storage is everything in a Class B RV. And as you can see, we have 2 cabinets each for our bedroom. Do I think that's enough? It depends on how long we're in here. Is it 1 week? Is it 2 weeks? Is it a month? Let me tell you, over 7 days, that does not feel like a lot of storage. But then you move into the kitchen and we have stuff that we just shove in here because this is the only area that we have for plates and bowls and cups. Then you move down here to the drawers. We have stuff in the drawer, but then we were like, where do we put our towels? They go in there. It's just storage. Storage is everything. Down here, we have 2 sets of storage right here. This is where we keep our coffee machine, right? Where are you gonna store that at? We have our toilet drop-ins. We have our trash bags. That's just a little bit of the stuff that you need to cart around in your RV when you're taking trips or even living in it full time. And also storage like a fridge. Like Bob showed you earlier, this fridge, very, very, very small. So what we've had to do, because this van did not come with enough storage, we ended up buying an aluminum storage box, which luckily that keeps all of our outdoor gear. There's no room in here for your cables and your hoses and your leveling blocks. Just so much of that stuff, where would we put that in here? So you can add storage, but I just want to say when you are looking at an RV Class B this small, think about the storage and think about what your needs are and what you would need This definitely has more storage than our last van. And that, again, that's why we were like, yes, so where do we sign the paper? We don't even need to look at it hardly because it's so much better than our last RV. That was such a mistake. We should have gotten this and really checked it out, and we just didn't do it.
So what I'm really hearing Hillary say is that size matters.
Okay, where do I go from there? In the end, storage matters.
Another thing that we wish we would have considered is water and propane capacity. These are the key things that are going to allow you to boondock. So if you're going to a regular campground and you're just, hooking up all the time, you don't necessarily have to worry about it too much. But the beauty of having a van is so that you can boondock, so that you can be out on the road. And so those water and propane levels and capacities are really important. So like one thing to consider with propane is, propane is great for cooking and it's great for heating, but it's just one more thing that when you're out on the road that you got to go find so that you can actually cook a meal or stay warm at night. And then water, that's going to be the number one limiting capacity for you, being out on the road. And if you're showering while you're boondocking, you are using a lot more water. And so having a large capacity water tank is going to allow you to be out on, out boondocking longer. And so it really depends on how you're using it or how you plan to use it. And then what is that capacity? Because they definitely need to match up. So I started off initially as a huge propane fan, but I have learned that I would rather not have it. I don't want to have to go find it. I don't want to have to worry about, how much I'm using or is it available. Now, what that means is you have to have a large battery capacity to kind of compensate for that so you can still cook and heat your van. So what I would prefer is for cooking, I would rather go electric with an induction cooktop. And for heating, I would like some sort of external like gas or diesel heater. That way you can make infinite hot water or infinite heat just using the fuel tank of the vehicle. So one of the things that we wish we would have done differently is make sure we have enough water capacity. So we have 24 gallons. I've seen units all the way up to 40 gallons. I would much rather have as much water as possible. So you may notice that when we go to RV shows, we try to share a lot of this information with you guys and share all the things that we have learned because we don't want you to make the same mistake we did.
So here's a hot debate. Do you really need a bathroom in your Class B RV? Let's go ahead and get in ours. First off, I'm gonna say yes. Our first van did not come with a bathroom. We didn't think it was a big deal. You wanna know why? I think it's because we watched a bunch of younger van lifers that didn't have a bathroom and they made it look so cool and like no problem. And now I have realized at 45 years old, I'm not willing to not have a bathroom in my RV. Lesson learned. The next lesson I've learned is, once again, when we bought this bathroom, because we were coming from a van that did not have a bathroom, we just were so excited to have a bathroom, I didn't care. I didn't care what size it was. Look at this. Now, if you're new to our channel, it's important to know that we're both over 6 feet tall. So keep that in mind. If you're not as tall as us, this might not be as big of an issue for you, but it is for us, and especially if you're taller than us. But getting back to the size of the bathroom, this is a small space. It's okay if you're going to the bathroom. We ended up having to replace the shower door that this bathroom came with because when it shut, we couldn't even put our legs in the shower or the bathroom to use the bathroom. It was just such a tight fit. The next issue that we didn't really think about was when we take a shower. Guys, am I not super cramped in here or what? Like, this is life. This is shower life. So again, for me to shower in this van, I have to sit on the toilet, if I'm being honest with you. Now, the one good thing that I like is this van did come with a mirror. That's another thing to consider is if you would want a mirror or not. I did. Now, our shower did come with a sink, and I know a lot of people love sinks. Because of our experience with our bathroom, we would not choose a sink at this point because we're too big. Space is an issue. If we had more space, like a wet bath in the back of a van, then I would definitely want a sink. Or if this was a little bigger, I would want a sink if I can have one. Pros and cons. It's give and take. It's what's really important and what's not important. And that's why we're making this video today, because so many of you asked these types of questions through our email and in the comments that we thought, let's just make you a video on what we would have wanted when we bought a van. And so the bathroom size, think about it. What do you need? And then the last thing to do with the bathroom is the toilet. So we have what you would call a cassette toilet, which means it holds about 5 gallons of waste. It's been okay so far, but if I'm being honest, I'm fine with it, but I do know there's better options out there. I think if we could choose the toilet over again, I think we would go with a Lavio toilet. Is that true, Bob?
I think so.
We think so, but that just sounds like a good toilet. I definitely want to use it first and make sure it was the right toilet for us. Don't make our mistakes, guys. Our bathroom is teeny. It's almost unusable at times, but I am grateful to have one.
First mistake that we made when it comes to the size of our van was the first van we purchased was a Ram 1500. That thing was very tiny. It was very mobile. We could get it around anywhere. We ended up taking it to Cabo. Loved where we took it. Didn't love the size because you just had no space whatsoever inside the van for your bed, your bathroom, the kitchen, none of that stuff. We have upgraded to the Ram 3500 Extended, and this is a good option in my opinion for kind of what's available in the market because it has good interior capacity, kind of space that you need, but you can still like drive it like a car. You can get it into a regular parking spot, and it's just not as big as some of those vans that are out there on the market. So this van is about 22 feet long, and as you can see, so there's 10, and there's 10. So as you can see, it fits in a regular parking spot. We're able to drive it around. Just keep that in mind when you guys are out. You don't make the same mistake we did when we bought our first one and bought something that was too small.
I think the reason why we went with the size that we did though was because it was our first RV ever. And I remember thinking I want to drive it, and I was a little intimidated by the size of, that first RV that we bought. I quickly realized it's not a big deal. These things drive like, to me, a big truck. I drive this one all the time. And so while I do think the size is very important, take into consideration, what you would need. Because another big issue that we had to think of, if you're not full-time, where are you parking this? Are you parking this in your driveway at home? Do you have an HOA? So that's where I think the size of your van is very important. What do you think, Bob?
Our first mistake was buying something that was too small. What I would also caution you against is buying something that's too big. Because if you're not comfortable driving it, you won't use it, and then it's a waste. We assumed when we purchased our van that it was a 4-seasoned unit. We had heat, we had air conditioning. We thought we were ready to go in any condition. Boy, were we wrong. So there's a couple of critical things to consider about cold weather in your van. What kind of insulation do you have kind of in the walls? Do you have good like window shades to kind of keep out the cold? What does your heating system look like to actually be able to produce enough heat to keep the van warm? And most importantly, where are your batteries located? Ours are actually underneath the van, which is terrible for cold weather. So our batteries actually ended up failing after we drove through a blizzard, and we ended up needing to replace those. You have to be very careful with the lithium batteries, when you're charging, what temperatures they are. And so being underneath the van is definitely not a good idea, but that's what we're stuck with. So in hot weather, and especially here in Arizona, I thought, we've got air conditioning on the top, we've got windows, we can get some good airflow, it'll be fine. I will definitely say that our van struggles in the Arizona heat. I've seen where I've had to take some things apart in the van. The insulation that is actually inside the walls of the van is, I'll just say, inadequate at best. The air conditioner, although it's a great air conditioner and works really well, it consumes a lot of electricity. Unless you're on shore power, we don't have enough battery capacity to run that for any extended period of time. Yes, you can get some good airflow. We've got screens and what have you, so you can open windows. Our big mistake there was because we have 120 volt air conditioning and we have a small battery capacity here in Arizona, it's just really, really hard to keep the van cool and comfortable. So what you can do differently is a couple of things. One, you can have a generator on your van, and if you don't want a generator, then you need to have a very large battery capacity, and you can pair that with something like a Dometic 12 volt air conditioner, which we've had experiences spending a day stuck at a gas station, and we found that it worked really well even in those high temperatures. So really what you need to check and make sure is understand where your batteries are located, the capacities, is it sufficient to run your air conditioner, and actually understanding where you're going to be using it. Because if this is going to be like your ski machine and you're heading up into the mountains, you know, you just need to make sure you have a good insulation and a good heating system with that. So how you use it's important, and then what climate it's in. So there you have it. That wraps up today's episode of not all, but most of the mistakes that we made purchasing vans.
Yeah.
So you guys might be wondering why I'm holding this box. If you join us next week, you'll get to see what it is.
I think it could be something cool for the van, but I also think it could be something not very useful for the van.
I'm excited to try it, and I definitely agree it has the potential to be a huge waste of money, or maybe a game changer, and we have to figure out a way to permanently put this in a van.
Yes, so if you know what it is just by seeing whatever that is, put it in the comments below. Somebody actually reached out to us and told us we needed one of these, so it's not even my fault. It's one of you subscribers out there. It's your fault. Anyways, let us know if you know what this is. If not, stay tuned until next week, because we are going to be using this in next week's video.
Yep. So,
Okay.
all right. Until next week.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.